Welcome. This is the Commissioner Corner podcast. Today is February 28th, and this is episode number 34. As always, we are presented by web3ks.com. Check out web3ks.com for your webpage, social media, and all your other graphics need for a very affordable price. Bomber, we are about to kick off our 30th season in NBL, and we got a lot to talk about. Tonight, we're going to talk about the New York Giants. They are the Super Bowl champions. We're going to cover the biggest free agents as we close out free agency and move into the draft. And then we're going to tell you about the teams who have to make a big splash in the NBL Season 30 rookie draft. As always, I'm joined by Bomber. How you doing tonight?
I'm doing well, man. I'm really excited about this show. What episode is this again? What number?
34.
So episode number 34. Shout out to Akeem Olajuwon, Charles Barkley, everybody who ever wore that number 34 at one point or another in their NBA career. No correlation to what's going on.
That was Lip's high school football number. Special episode.
So that was your junior varsity number. Nice. Lip's junior varsity number. Big shout out to that. I'm sure it's somewhere. Someone's donning it at your high school right now.
With chicks still wearing that, baby.
Aspirations of getting to varsity probably never will come true. But hey, there's always hope out there. Hope is a dangerous drug. Yeah, like you said today, we got the New York Giants. They won the Super Bowl, NBL Season 29. Big shout out to them. We got Mahomes, Kaiser, Carr, all switching teams. A lot of movement in the NBL, and we still got a couple free agents out there right now. People are jumping on, so a lot of great things going on in the NBL right now. I'm just excited to be a part of this Commissioner Corner. I think we're going to get to break down a couple of these signings, and I'm going to call out a couple of these teams who think they're upgrading, because you have to spin it as an upgrade. You got to tell your fan base, hey, we're getting better, even if we're not. And I think a couple of these teams are very suspect of doing that right now.
Yeah, and before we get into that, we're in the process. It's going to be a big show. We're changing up how the draft is going to be conducted. As you know, before we've gone through pick by pick analysis, but we're changing it up this year. And our network director OSU has put out a video describing what this new format for this show is going to be. Still going to be the rookie draft. We're still going to be talking about players, but I think we're going to be talking a lot more in depth about the actual players, showing those player cards, and just talking more about Madden, the whole league, NBL, everything, just more of a general flow type thing with a little bit less structure. And we really think that that's going to bring a lot of interaction with the chat, with the whole league, because everybody really cares about those player cards, all the attributes from these stars that come into the NBL. And it's going to be really exciting because it's a whole new spin on this show, and we're really excited to bring it to you guys. Did my bomber leave? My bomber is gone.
Oh, I thought we were playing the video of OSU. I thought you were leading up to that, and we stopped talking. What's going on? Where are we at?
We are talking about the new format for the draft that's going to be live tomorrow
night. I thought
we
asked OSU if we're going to play the video.
We were going to play the
video. For a video.
But it was a little lengthy, and we wanted to just hit on it, talk about it a little bit, and then move on into our show. Okay.
All right. Well, yeah, you talked about it. We don't have the overlay anymore for Commissioner Corner. Hop. Yeah, well, let's put it up. I'm tired of seeing Commissioner Corner logo. I mean, it's been like 20, what has it been, 4 minutes already in and we had nothing on the screen? Let's go, producer. Yeah, just put it up there. Let's roll. You drive us. All right, so basically, yeah, the draft's going to be changing right now. We got a lot of things coming up for the draft. It's going to be a little bit more of a relaxed show. Doughboy's in the chat right now saying he's going to be on the show. I didn't know that, so I mean, I think Gub and Doughboy are going to be on there talking about the draft. There are draft gurus in the NBL, so that should be exciting, hopefully. And we're going to just be kind of doing a more relaxed version of the draft and kind of talking about Madden in general, going full immersion, back off of full immersion. It's going to be a fun, so grab some popcorn, sit back and enjoy it. And what time does it start tomorrow, Lip?
8 p.m.
8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. That means probably a start of about 8:03-ish. That's usually where we start here on the network. It'll be on Twitch TV, though, so twitch.tv /NBL Network. I think. I could be wrong. It might just be on YouTube. Is OSU in the chat to actually confirm that?
OSU.
Okay, so is it just going to be on YouTube, Hop? So just come on YouTube. We'll keep you updated on that. Lip, if you can tag them in the chat right now and see if it's going to be just on YouTube or on Twitch. But either way, youtube.com as the channel you're on right now. Hit that like and subscribe button. Also, twitch.tv /NBL Network. Become a subscriber. You got an opportunity to win some very cool prizes. free gifts, and if you have Amazon Prime, you get 1 free subscribe per month. All you have to do is click that button and use your Amazon Prime, link it together, that Twitch Prime, and it's free. It doesn't cost you a dime, and we still get revenue from that we push back into the network for opportunities for you to win prize, because we do nothing but subscriber-only giveaways, and we got a new emote. It's the NBL emote on Twitch. Have you seen it yet, Lip? Are you excited to use it next time you get on our Twitch channel?
I am very excited. I think that's a great thing to bring to our channel, give our guys something to put out in the chat. It's only gonna grow from here, and I'm extremely excited about that. Just seeing what we did, what this league was able to do with the Super Bowl, all those giveaways. We gave away some really awesome stuff. And that's what that drives, and it's really an exciting thing because people come, they sub, and then they are able to participate in those giveaways. And we've got some great ideas moving forward as we continue to grow. But make sure you check out the draft. NBL Season 30 Rookie Draft is going to be tomorrow night, 8 p.m. Eastern on NBL Network. OSU has confirmed that will be on Twitch and YouTube, so tune into our Twitch channel as always. But right now we're moving on. It is time.
If you're going to watch live, always go to twitch.tv/NBL Network. And if you're going to miss it and catch it later, it'll be on YouTube. So use YouTube as our library to watch it later. But if you are going to join us live at, 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, Lip?
Yeah.
8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time tomorrow. That's March 1st. Make sure you're over there watching on the Twitch. We don't need you over here on YouTube watching it live. It will be live on YouTube, but that's just for processing and rendering purposes only. But Lip, let's move on to the show. What do we got today?
There is a party in New York, and it has been going on for several days. As you know, the New York Giants and Bananas took home the NBL Season 29 Super Bowl, and they are super excited. This was a run. They started out in the first round. They blew out the 49ers 34-3, and then they went against the Seahawks, who have a Super Bowl. They have experience. They've been there twice. They blew them out 37-10. And then they edged past the team that no one thought they could get by in the Detroit Lions, 35-31. And then that incredible Super Bowl game, they edged it out with that last-second field goal. It was a crazy back-and-forth game that was final. The Giants won 20-17 over the 16-0 Chargers, going for the first completely perfect season in NBL history. Could not get it done, and the Giants are Super Bowl champions. What a season those guys had.
Absolutely a great season for the New York Giants. And like you said, and I'm going to recap what you said just a little bit to put it in real perspective. So the last 3 games that these New York Giants won, and this is a miracle run very similar to what they did in real life. The New York Giants, I don't know what year it was when they knocked off the Patriots, who were looking for that perfect season. They just seem like the perfect season killers. Just no matter what it is, real life, NBL, CFM, they just seem like they get it done. They went on a little bit of a miracle run. 3 games, so we're talking about the divisional round. They ended up playing the Seattle Seahawks, who were the number 2 team in the NFC. A lot of people said, man, that's going to be a good matchup. Seahawks were 13-3. The Giants were 11-5. Giants edged them out, beat them rather convincingly. They played the Lions. They won 35-31. They had the ball at the end. They get a big touchdown. I mean, clutch scores from both of those games. They beat the number 1 seed, 14-2 Lions. Then they go on to take on the 16-0 Los Angeles Chargers, looking for the first ever true perfect season to actually finish it with the Super Bowl in NBL history. And they beat them too. So what a wild ride for the New York Giants. I mean, that's an emotional high. A team that was 11-5, but like they said on Twitter, a couple guys were pointing out, this team got hot at the very end at the right time, and they were the hottest team kind of going. We saw Skip Bayless, the NBL Skip Bayless. He said a lot of positive things about the New York Giants on that playoff run. And he said, man, this might be their year. This might be destiny in NBL Season 29, and it sure was.
Yeah, and what was crazy about that entire playoff run is we really saw Marlon Petway just break out as an NBL star. But in that Super Bowl, Davis Webb was 13 for 16, 231 yards, didn't throw a touchdown, and only threw 1 interception, but it was a weird shovel pass that was just badly timed. It just wasn't the right thing. That actually was against the Detroit Lions, I think.
Yeah, that was against the Lions.
But he threw 1 interception in that game, but he was still very impressive throughout that playoff run. But the real star of the entire playoffs, and really this season for the Giants, was Marlon Petway. just a guy out of Miami. No one really thought that he was going to be this good, and it took him some time. The first 2 seasons did not break 1,000 yards. Had 11 touchdowns 2 seasons ago, but this season they gave him almost 200 carries, 1,300 yards, and 9 touchdowns. Averaged 7.1 yards per carry. I just am so impressed with how they committed to this guy, and he took them to the promised land.
Yeah, University of Miami, Marlon Petway, 5'11", 227 pounds, more of a bruiser, but he can actually kind of go. I mean, 89 speed isn't the slowest, and he always just plays like his game speed just seems a little bit faster than his attributes. I mean, as I said, 5'11", 227, and he can actually get downhill and really start running downhill on the defense. That's when he's really, really dangerous. And he finished the season strong. He had a 200-yard game against the Niners week 14, and then week 16, he had a 169 yards and 3 20-plus touchdowns in both of those games. So 6 touchdowns where he broke 20-plus yards in 2 of his last 4 games. I mean, he really just went in a phenomenal tear to end this season, and I wasn't surprised at all by his ability to get it done in the playoffs because he did it against some elite teams late in the season.
Yeah, and that's an incredible run and such a great season. They'll obviously remember it forever, but I don't think they're done. They're looking to repeat that NFC East and go on another Super Bowl run, protect that title, but as we all know, things come to an end, and it's such a great season for the Giants. NBL season 29 is in the books, and we're moving on to NBL season 30, and that means we're going to be talking about free agency, and boy, did people spend some money on some great players. We're going to talk about a couple big ones, but overall, there was a lot of money thrown around to some really talented players, and I think that that's good because a couple teams went in a direction that big contract, I think, could push them over into being a top team. But then there's some other ones who people say that's going to be a good signing, but you look at who they're replacing and what pieces are around them, you really have some questions about those players.
Yeah, absolutely. I think there's a couple teams in here we're going to talk in depth. I mean, who do we got up first that we're going to be analyzing? I think we have like 3 players. So we got Riddick that we're going to be looking at first. He went to the Redskins. I don't think this is a bad pick. Maybe a little bit of an overpay, but definitely one thing I like to look at, Lip. If you're going to overpay, are you getting better? Now let's make that our criteria for Commissioner Corner. I think we both can agree. Can you agree to that? If you're going to pay somebody, are you getting better? And if you're not getting better, are you getting a hell of a deal? And there's a couple teams in here where I'm like, I paid about market value, and he got worse at that position. Those are the things I do not like. I don't want to see. But Riddick, what's your thoughts on the contract and the pay so far? I believe it's on the screen right now. What's the total contract for Riddick?
$41.6 million.
Oh, okay,
30
that's
of it
not
guaranteed.
even true though, because it's you got 30 guaranteed, so the contract's closer to 70.
Yeah,
so let's add it all together. Yeah, let's
70 million. 6 years, 70 million. Well, maybe 7 years. 6 or 7 years, $70 million. He will make $6.4 million this year. And as that contract goes on, it's really not that bad until several seasons down the line, maybe NBL season 35. But he'll only be about 31 then. If he is a true leader, it could be a good signing, but I'm not even convinced that they needed him. They have Willis Brennan, a good linebacker, and then Correa out of Boise State. Those are 2 guys that are still, I think, very good. Brennan's only 23 years old, but I think if you want to look at it from a positive standpoint, they have one of those guys that they had on their roster. Maybe they want one of them to play a supporting role, playing for injuries, something like that, and then have Riddick be the guy because he does have the skill sets. He's very fast for that middle linebacker position, almost like a Ryan Shazier type player. And we've seen what the addition of a star linebacker can do. We just saw it with the addition of Reggie Ragland in New York. They took him to the Super Bowl. It's really impressive what one solid middle linebacker can do. So I can see the point here from the Redskins.
Yeah, I'm a plus on this signing. I absolutely love it for one reason. You're saying Brennan and Correa, they don't compare athletically to what Riddick is going to bring to this team. I mean, we're talking 6'1". He's from Arizona. He came from the Cardinals. He didn't live up to expectation, I'd say there per se, but he did show these flashes of just pure pure raw athleticism, and 26 years old in the right system. He's gonna be a beast. We're talking about 88 speed, 89 excel, 87 agility, and 87 pursuit for a 26-year-old, 6'1", 235 from Temple University. I absolutely love this guy, and I think he's easily worth $10 million. And his starting salary, so the first couple years, he's at 6.41. That's not a big deal. Then I think it jumps up to 8, and then I think it jumps up to 9. It might go 6, 7, and then high 8s, and then 10. So you got 4 seasons before you really have to pay this guy. I think it was a great signing by Washington. I'm going to give that an A+ grade, man. I think that's going to help this team. I don't like his number being 43, though. I want to see him take on a number in the mid-50s. Show show that like dominance, number 50, number 55. Those are the players we really look for in defenses that are the big stars. I like to see him take on that number, definitely not 43 for Hassan Reddick.
Just a little bit of a comparison here. Ryan Shazier in his last 3 years of his current contract, about $5.75 million, $6.5 million, and then $8 million in that final year. So you could make the argument that they overpaid, but I'm going to make the argument that they got a leader on defense. Like we said, Reggie Ragland led that.
Well, you got to overpay.
Defense.
You're going to go to Washington.
Absolutely. Well, he was such a hot linebacker that explains the overpay based on this comparison. But like I said, you get that star in that team, that can totally change the defense, and I totally understand that.
Yeah, you got a guy that can fly around and go everywhere. What's the other signing we got? That's an A+ from me on Reddick. O.J. Howard. Okay. All right. Yeah, set up the contract and lay it out for everybody right now, Lip.
So O.J. Howard, this is a huge signing because we've watched the Saints for the last 2 seasons get into the playoffs, start to make their run, and then their offense just kind of struggles. Ross Bottom needs a guy that he can rely on, and boy, did he get it. Now, Ross Bottom, 2 seasons ago, 12 touchdowns, 11 interceptions. This past season, 27 touchdowns, 18 interceptions. So he is showing growth. He is one heck of a young player in the NBL, showing that growth that you really want. But like I said, you've seen the Saints kind of fall into this part where they have an excellent defense. They hold the best offenses to lower points, and then their offense kind of just can't keep up. They just cannot. They're not dominant. So you get Ross Bottom, a guy like O.J. Howard. That's a 5-year, $67 million deal. He's going to be making just under $10 million this year, and then that contract's going to go up over $16 million. I think that this is a great deal because he was such a hot tight end, probably the best tight end if you look past Gronk being older. I think this is the best deal because they desperately needed him, because they need somebody on offense, and this is going to allow Ross Bottom to grow even further.
Yeah, I agree. I think this is a good deal for Ross Bottom. I think he's happy. This is a deal he gets on the phone and say, hey, if you can make O.J. Howard become a New Orleans Saint, let's pay the money. Let's make it happen. We finished 10-6 last year. We won the division. Let's keep the momentum going. We played the Detroit Lions. We felt like we had an opportunity to compete with them. We competed with them better than we did last time we played them. We're moving forward. This team is getting better. Bottom's getting better. You talked about Bottom's stats. They really grew. But he was heavily dependent on Michael Thomas last year. I think they saw a spark in Tyson Woods, wide receiver, 5'10", 174. Yeah, he's probably a $174, soaking wet. With 10-pound ankle weights on, but this guy can fly. 95 speed, 95 excel. This is a guy they look for in the playoffs a lot out of slot. I think he moves outside, so you got the nice little tandem. You got the speedster with Michael Thomas, the size, 6'3", 212, Ohio State University. They absolutely love that guy, and I think they move into a traditional 2 wide receiver, 2 tight end set. They get the running game going with Tevin Coleman, and now they're going to use Trey O'Connor, who had 50 catches, 853 yards. So when you get that kind of production out of tight end, and then I see you jump into free agency and bring in another tight end, I think, okay, they're moving to 2 tight end set here. They're going to be very dangerous. They're going to change up what they're doing. It's going to take some pressure off of Bonham. I expect Bonham to go 4,500 yards, about 35 touchdowns this season. I think it's a great pickup. I'm going to give it an A-. I think the contract was just slightly heavy, but I understand why they did it. They got a rookie deal with this late 2nd-round pick, Trey O'Connor from the University of Pittsburgh. I think it was a good deal, and I think if they go to the 2 wide receiver set, as I said, with Woods, and then you got Michael Thomas, Trey O'Connor, and now O.J. Howard, I think that is dangerous for Ross Bonham, and it's going to make the Saints offense just really, really be tougher to stop, and it's also going to make them better in the run game.
Yeah, that run game is really key, because if you look at the Saints this year, just 50 yards on the ground, that is 29th in the NBL, and that's not going to get it done. So when you can't run the ball. You go into the playoffs and all you have is your pass. Those defenses in the playoffs are going to take away that pass. O.J. Howard helps both those situations, and I think that's really going to push these Saints to that next level because they desperately needed another target and a run blocker and somebody that will help out in the run game. I think that's such a great signing because it really meets two needs for this team that already has a great defense. Moving on, we're going to be talking about Patrick Mahomes in New England. Now, this is a questionable one just because they were with Mr. Garoppolo, Jimmy G, last season, and 7 touchdowns, 20 interceptions for Jimmy Garoppolo. It was time to go. It was time to go, right, Bummer?
Yeah, absolutely. Jimmy Garoppolo played horrible. And I don't know how much of it we're going to say was Jimmy Garoppolo's fault. I mean, Garoppolo had some bad throws, but he also was put in a situation that really didn't fit his ability. The Redskins quickly brought him in. They signed him to, I believe, a 4-year deal worth like less than $20 million. And this is a guy, let me read off his short, medium, deep. That's how I like to do it. 87, 83, 80 with the 90 throw power. How this guy throws 7 touchdowns and 20 interceptions on a 64 QBR with 58% completion really is head scratching. But if you look at him the year before, he wasn't that great then either. This is a Patriots team that's really fallen, and they're going to struggle to really compete. But lucky for them, they're in the AFC East, and now they've signed I don't know how to spin this into really a big positive. Mahomes definitely has a stronger arm, but his accuracies are 88, 85, 79, very comparable and similar to what you had with Jimmy Garoppolo. But is it much better? I don't see it. You're going to throw the ball harder, but the throws that I saw in the offense that I saw last year, it wasn't about the arm strength. It was oftentimes about the decision making.
Yeah, and the thing with Mahomes is he's 25. He is what he is. I think with his time already his younger days already being behind him. I know his younger days in terms of his career in this league. I know he's 25. He still has time, but I think he just is what he is. I'm not really. I don't think he's going to grow much more than this. The contract is semi-friendly, as you're only paying him $10.7 million this season. But I just feel like it would have been better to go into the draft and get one of the younger quarterbacks. I know there's not a whole lot of them this year, but I think that was a better option. Just because I'm not real confident in Mahomes. The contract's kind of friendly, but I'm just not sure I believe in the guy. But just looking at Jimmy Garoppolo, this was a free agency where there was a bunch of teams that were really in need of a quarterback or really could have used a solid backup. And I'll actually praise what the Redskins did there. They already have Zach Belisari, who does a fine job for the Redskins, but then they go get Jimmy Garoppolo. So if anything ever happens to Belisari, Garoppolo is going to be right in there, and he's going to make the most of that opportunity.
Yeah, absolutely. I think the Redskins got a better deal here. I think they got a quarterback that's,
Isn't that what it seems like?
They're paying like 4 years. What was it? 4 years, $20 million for a backup quarterback that could has starter ability. I mean, when you get that kind of potential there, I know he's coming off a really bad year, but we saw the potential that Jimmy Garoppolo has, and this isn't a very old quarterback. He's only 29 years old. He's got 90 throw power, 87 short, 83 medium, 80 deep. I already said that. Play action, 82. Very capable of making all the throws and all the reads. Maybe just found out he's not a starting quarterback in the NBL, but I mean, Patrick Mahomes hasn't proved to be a starter either. Yes, you get him on a little bit of a friendlier deal than you would have had to pay for elsewhere, but you're still paying $10 million a year for a quarterback, and I don't know if Mahomes is the guy. Yeah, he's only 25 years old, but the Chiefs let him go for a reason. They didn't feel he was the guy. I mean, he's had QBRs of 75, 62, and last year in a very short, only 8 passes of 93, so we can't even really count that. But he's thrown over 100 attempts in NBL season 27 and 28, in which he combined for a 60% QBR, 60% completion percentage, and a touchdown to interception ratio of 14 to 25, and a QBR somewhere about 66, 67. That's just not good. And that just doesn't warrant the kind of money or paying him to come in here and start for you. So unless the Patriots have a plan to draft a starting quarterback, I'm still kind of confused. And this is where I'm going to give him a C on this signing, because you filled a void with someone that has starter potential, but you had that last year. And I think it's kind of a downgrade with Mahomes. Yeah,
and moving into this next player, I think that this can be considered a downgrade just because this guy really hasn't seen the field in almost 2 seasons, and that's DeShone Kizer. He signs with the Raiders, a similar deal to Mahomes, 4 years, $57 million, 21 of that guaranteed. Similar contract, $11.1 million this season. It's a team-friendly contract for now, but I'm just not confident in Kizer because he was basically given. We've seen the tremendous growth of the Cleveland Browns. Their defense has gotten so much better. Their offense is getting so much better. And he was given the keys to that car and didn't really do anything with it. 14 touchdowns, 19 interceptions, quarterback rating of 83 seasons ago. And then they just kind of pulled the plug on him. They let him play here and there. Maybe some injuries happened. I think maybe Jameis Winston went down. But then last year, of course, they had Jameis Winston. He didn't play at all. He threw 3 passes. Just has not really seen the field in 2 seasons. So I really question this guy's ability to come in, break off the rust, make the right decision. And that's another case where this is your guy. He kind of is what he is. He's not going to get that much better, and he's really not proven himself to be much of anything so far.
Yeah, it's definitely, I'm going to give this one grade a D, actually, because I think this is a bad signing, because it's a downgrade. The D is for downgrade here. Now, both of them have 95 throw power, Carr and Kizer. Carr was 90 short, 86 medium, 85 deep. Kizer's 86 short, 83 medium, 76 deep. That's a very, very steep drop off. I understand he's 25 years old. He has a nice arm. And, you know, he played for the Cleveland Browns as a backup, so you don't really see too much. But he did have 322 attempts in NBL season 27, 62% completion, 80.8 QBR, 14 touchdowns, 19 interceptions. That's kind of what Carr gave the Oakland Raiders last season. So very comparable in that. And maybe he comes in there and does what Carr did, which Carr was not playing well for the Oakland Raiders. And that's why they decided, hey, it's time to move on. Let's get a little bit younger. But I don't think this is an upgrade by any means yet. I can be proven wrong, and I will be open-minded about watching what happens. But Derek Carr really, really struggled last season for the Oakland Raiders, and I can understand why they wanted to move on from him. It's the same situation with the New England Patriots, but I think this is actually worse. I think the Patriots got more of a comparable player to who they lost as Derek Carr going to the Jets. Huge deal for them. If they can make that work, I mean, 95 throw, 90 short, 86 medium, 85 deep. This quarterback is only 30 years old. He's still got plenty of opportunity, but he had one of his worst seasons last year with a 77.9 QBR, 13 touchdowns, 26 interceptions, and 64% completion. This is a worse situation than the Patriots. I gave the Patriots a C. I'm going to give the Oakland Raiders a D for the signing.
Yeah, and speaking of Derek Carr, and speaking of upgrades, we are talking about Derek Carr heading to the New York Jets. They were 7-9 last year with not really a great quarterback. Derek Carr and another guy I'm sure you're going to want to talk about has come to the Jets of a deal that I like. Just a short-term deal, 3 years, $56 million, 19 guaranteed. Going to be making $15.6 million this year. I think this is a great signing because it is a huge upgrade to a team that is, you know, around 500. And I think that could really be the missing piece because their divisions, it's very winnable for the Jets, who are around a 500 team. Now with Derek Carr, that totally blows this division open. I think that they could definitely be in contention for that division title this year with Derek Carr.
I'm gonna say it right now. Jets, Jets. I'm all in on the AFC East. Jets coming out on top. Derek Carr to Julio Jones. You're gonna see it many times this season, and it's gonna be a deadly, deadly connection. They also have a wide receiver many are talking about, and he was very excited to see that they brought in Julio Jones, and that's Bernard Morton. Morton had 73 catches, 1,116 yards last season, and he's their little speedy wide receiver that probably gets unnoticed. This is a two-time Pro Bowler in the NBL. He came in as a kick returner, then as a wide receiver last year. 96 speed, 96 excel, 5'10", $177 from Northwestern. I mean, he's got heart. Very comparable, to undersized wide receivers that come out and play big. I mean, the Antonio Browns are the guys he says he looked up to. Now he gets to play next to Julio Jones. They had T.Y. Hilton, an older T.Y., 90 speed T.Y. Hilton, with an acceleration of only 86 last season, and he almost got 1,000 yards. He was 55 catches, 985. So if they can do that with T.Y. Hilton, I feel like Julio Jones next to Bernard Morton with Derek Carr throwing the ball. We're not talking Joseph Page or Matt Murkowski or Aaron Searles. We're talking Derek Carr, I think the New York Jets take the AFC East. I give them an A++. Yeah, that's the highest rating I give. I think they completely transform this offense with just 2 selections at wide receiver and quarterback in free agency.
Yeah, those 2 signings totally changed it. It's a lot different when these big body receivers get older. Julio's 6'3", still quick, just needs still fast, not really as quick to get to that speed, but still the big body receiver that gives Derek Carr one heck of a target. He's smart. He knows how to catch the ball with his hands. He's going to be able to keep those defenders away from the ball with his big frame and make those catches with his hands. Guys, before we get into our next segment, our last segment, get your questions in for the Crossfire segment. Hop's going to be pulling them out for us as we talk about this last segment. But, man, the Jets definitely got an upgrade with Derek Carr and Julio Jones. I'm very excited to see them because of their division. This team could definitely take it. And now, tonight will be the advance through this final stage of free agency. Some players are going to find out where they will be for NBL Season 30. And then it's on to the draft. We talked about the draft is tomorrow night, 8 p.m. Eastern on NBL Network. We'll be on our YouTube and our Twitch. But right now, we're going to be talking about which teams need to kill this draft. There's a couple teams. There's one team that's a quarterback away. There's one team that's a nice wide receiver away. But there's a bunch of teams in this league that are just a couple players away, and they're not even star players. They could get a solid player in the first round and then a couple role players, depth guys in the later rounds. They kill the draft, they could make the playoffs, and I'm very excited to talk about a couple of them.
And I got some insider information on a big trade opportunity approaching the deadline right now between 2 teams, and one of them's #1 in the draft right now. So I got that news. I also want to give out here in a little bit, but I'll let some questions come in. Are we on Crossfire already?
No, we're moving into the draft time. Who needs to kill the draft right now? We got the graphic up. The top team to me is the Los Angeles Rams. Then we've got the Dolphins, the Chiefs, and the Packers. These are 4 teams. 2 teams are at the bottom. They're at the top of the draft. They're in a different position than the other 2 teams. The Chiefs and the Packers are on that fringe mark. I mean, we've seen the Packers. They've been building. They've been doing some good things. They drafted some studs last year, got them to 8-8 this season. So those are the 2 teams right on the outside that I think are 1 draft away from making a playoff run.
Who did this graphic? I got to know. That was Hop, huh? Did you not want us to be able to see Green Bay Packers? Is that why you decided to do it in that silhouette? The silhouette color there? Yeah, it's killing you today, man. You got a new place. Hop's got a new place, guys. He's living fresh. He's gotten real bougie on us. The production values. He's got a gig internet now. He's showing off. But, man, he must not like the Green Bay Packers because that is like some oil-stained greenish brown. I don't know what that is. But let me give out my information about the Rams since they're on there. The Los Angeles Rams. And you're going to have to wait for this because the Miami Dolphins at #1, the Rams at #3. Who are the Rams looking to take in this draft? What position are they looking for, Lip?
I'm thinking that Bragg fella at quarterback.
So they're looking for quarterback. Well, they're looking to move to #1 right now in a trade with the Miami Dolphins, who are not looking for a quarterback, to sure up the fact that they're going to get Bragg. This is a big deal, a late-breaking news development that I just recently found out. They're still working out the details. Nothing is finalized yet, but an opportunity for the Rams to move up. It's a win-win for both teams as the Dolphins are not looking at quarterback right now. They're happy with Austin Lester. I'm very excited for this trade. As a person part of the media outlet in this NBL community, this is a big trade. This is one of those trades where you look at and you go, this is a win-win for both teams, not because the Dolphins don't know what they're doing, but they absolutely believe in Austin Lester. He threw for the most yards, that he threw for 3,000 yards, QBR 76.8. That's about average in the league right now. He was the 5th pick in the draft from the University of Wisconsin, 6'5", 230. They're happy with this guy. They're staying with Austin Lester. He's 90 short, 87 medium, 79 deep. They're not going quarterback. So then to move back to 3 is smart for them, and they can get the defensive player that they're looking for.
Yeah. That's a great move. I like it. I like it for the Dolphins because if they can get a couple players, I believe Ndamukong Suh retired this offseason, leaving. We've talked about that contract. It needed to go for about 2 or 3 seasons. They're able to use that money to bring in defensive end Derek Barnett and defensive tackle Orchavius Adams. those are great contracts for two great players. That defensive line just got so much better when Sue got out of town. And the Dolphins are going to be able to take a nice pick, a nice play with this pick, and move on. The Rams are going to be able to get their quarterback. It's really going to work out for everybody. But last thing I want to say about the Packers is when they took Harlos Hepburn, they got so much closer to competing in that division and in the playoffs. They were sitting at 8-8 this season. I think that they're another team that is right on the edge. They could really kill it with this draft, as they have in the past, and really put them in a position to, they're going to take a wild card spot, I think, to start, and then go from there.
All right, so we got a couple questions for. Are we on the Crossfire now?
Yeah, we're moving on to Crossfire.
Let's go to Crossfire. We got. Should the Bills trade up for Bags? Bags, I don't think it's even possible. Yeah, I don't know who asked that question, Hop. JY asked that. I don't think it's possible. I mean, this deal with the Dolphins and the Rams is really, really close to being submitted right now. They're just working out a couple details. I mean, I don't see how that deal doesn't pass. And Homer's the one that asked it, so
let me grill Homer here for a second. Homer was not ready to commit to Matt Ryan, was not ready to commit to Ben Roethlisberger. Now there's teams making moves for the quarterback you needed. I am just lost. I don't know what to say. This team needs a quarterback. They were so close to dominating that division, making playoff runs, and then it kind of all fell apart, and now they're kind of sitting there without a confident quarterback. I just have a lot of questions about what was going on in those rooms talking about the quarterback position in Buffalo, because you're not going to be able to get this guy. There's already a deal in place for the best quarterback in this draft to go somewhere else.
All right, it says, which playoff team from last season doesn't make the playoffs this year? I'm going with the New England Patriots. I think they limped in. They didn't show anything when they got into the playoffs, got completely blown out. I'm going to say that's the team that doesn't make it. I think the Jets get in over there. And it was between them and, maybe the San Francisco 49ers, but I just see the Niners as a team that's on the up and up right now, even though they kind of faltered towards the end. They just showed their inconsistency with their young players, but I'm going to have to go with the New England Patriots as a team that doesn't get in next season.
Yeah, I think that the Patriots are good.
Why would Hop say the Jags? I mean, the Jags are on the up and up too. I mean, they're like one of the youngest teams in the league who finished 10-6 without their starting quarterback. What is your? Are people able to hear you right now or no? Okay, I'm just confused. I mean, out of all these teams I'm looking at, we got the old Seattle Seahawks, who are pretty much were on life support. That's cut half of their guys. Yeah. I mean, that's a team that definitely could not make it.
And they got smoked by the Giants.
And they got destroyed. They just showed like an old team. They don't have the talent right now. And you're going to say the Jacksonville Jaguars, who arguably have the best secondary, best cornerback core in the NBL. And then they had a quarterback that they were playing off of free agency because Daniel Shirley went down. And they still ended up finishing 10-6. And they threw their last game pretty much by not playing Leonard Fournette. How do you say that team's not going to make it when the Patriots went 9-7 and pretty much limped in because they were in a bad division and they needed a wildcat game at the end to beat a depleted Jacksonville Jaguars team? Now, unless the New England Patriots come out and essentially, revamp this team and come out and show a new life, that's definitely a team that's just not going to make the playoffs this season.
I think Hop just
he's like talking to us, but nobody can hear him, right?
Real bad there. I'm going with the Seattle Seahawks. They let Richard Sherman go. He's older. They're trying to get him back. Don't know if they will, but they're 13-3. But it's not an impressive 13-3 in my opinion with the way they played the Giants. And losing Sherman was one thing that held that defense together. If he's gone, Cam Chancellor's gone, Earl Thomas has been gone. I'm just not sure that they really have anything that's going to keep them in a position, because the 49ers are young and they're hot.
All right, so we got a couple more. Let's kind of wrap this up as JY starting to ask questions that kind of, which middle of the road team that missed the playoffs might make a chance back with a big draft?
The Cardinals.
No, not going to ask that question right now. Let's go to what team is going to regret their offseason choices the most this year? I have to give that some thought. Let me look on the board real quick at some.
While
you give your initial impression.
I went to town on my team for that question, and it was the Bills. They had a great roster. They were playing very well, and then just kind of fell apart this season. It's okay to have bad seasons, but whenever you have a bad season, 26th in passing, there's some great quarterbacks in free agency, and you just kind of ignore it out of what I would say is being cheap, because we saw some money go to Ben Roethlisberger and Matt Ryan, Derek Carr, Deshaun Kaiser, Patrick Mahomes. There was guys out there, and they just kind of held their money, and now they're left without a quarterback. They might have a guy that they believe in, but I don't believe in, so that's why I'm growing them. Buffalo Bills, get out of here.
Yeah, that's a good one. I mean, you kind of won me over on that. I'm looking at some other teams right now. I'm thinking maybe the Oakland Raiders. A lot of their moves were downgrades, but they did bring in some nice depth guys. But the Bills, this might have been the deepest quarterback free agency class that we've seen this entire Madden cycle. And what did you do? You sat on your hands and did nothing. That's absolutely pathetic. And that's why your team that won back-to-back division titles in arguably one of the weakest divisions in the NBL, and you somehow managed to find yourself at my spot right now. I have you third in that division. I got it going Jets, Patriots, Bills, Dolphins. Very pathetic. And if I was a Bills fan right now, I'd be up in arms. I go, what are we doing here? What are we doing, and why are we allowing now the Rams to move to 1? Why aren't we contacting the Dolphins right now and trying to get that spot? It really just doesn't make any sense right now what the Bills did, and I'm on board with you. That's a team that's really going to regret essentially not doing anything this offseason.
Travis Bowman, he's been in the league 3 years. Last year on his contract, I just don't see it. 13 touchdowns, 29 interceptions, quarterback rating of 71, barely over 3,000 yards, 65 completion percentage. I just do not believe in this guy. The Bills have had 3 years to see that this guy is not the future. Like you said, probably the best quarterback free agency we've had in such a long time, and to completely ignore it, I'm just not on board.
Yeah, very disappointed in the Buffalo Bills. As I said, if you're a Buffalo Bills fan, you went from dominating that division, pretty much going 6-0 every season in that division. NBL season, I believe, 27 and 28, and you completely just I don't even know what happened. You've completely fell off. I don't see you really recovering from this. I think it's the New York Jets time. I think they saved their money right, and they made a couple big splashes. I expect them to come out on top. I got a Jets, Patriots, Bills, Dolphins right now, and man, Dolphins might surprise me. They might jump ahead of the Bills because the 5-11 Bills just did not look good last year, and I don't see them getting any better right now.
Yeah, Hop, do we have any more questions? Where's this at? Wrapping it up. All right. Once again, thank you guys for tuning in to the Commissioner Corner podcast, episode 34. We are just pumping these out. As always, Bomber and I on the show tonight. Do not forget to tune in. The NBL Season 30 Rookie Draft is going to be tomorrow night, 8 p.m. That's going to be on our YouTube and our Twitch. Make sure you tune in to Twitch. Make sure you sub. We got that new emote going out there. Make sure you get in on that, because all of everything that goes into that is going to be put back into giving back to our subscribers, back to the owners, back to our viewers, and that's something we want everybody to be part of. Make sure you check out the video OSU has put in the chat about the new format for the draft. A lot about this show is changing. We really love to put on this show, and we're mixing it up this year. It's going to be a great show. So once again, for Bomber, me, and Hop, we're out of here.